Hey, what's up YouTube? If you're new to my channel, I mainly talk about recovery from kratom and alcohol addiction. And in this video, I want to expand a bit on the negative aspects of kratom abuse and also talk about post-acute withdrawal syndrome, aka PAWS. One of the many reasons I decided to give up kratom was that it caused many of the same symptoms that are consistent with opioid abuse. Initially, kratom was sold as a safer alternative to opiates. I had a history with opiate abuse over the years, but I gave it up years before trying kratom. Kratom isn't as potent as traditional opiates, but that doesn't mean that it's safe or a good idea to take, especially if you yourself are prone to opiate addiction. Kratom has been a contributing factor in overdoses. Granted, most of those overdoses are a combination with other drugs, but there has been numerous kratom overdoses from just kratom use alone. With kratom's increasing popularity, there's also been an increase in calls to poison control centers. 65% of calls to these centers were from kratom use alone. Among half of those calls resulted in outcomes that included seizures, liver problems, slowed heart rate, and even comas. There's even been calls of infants experiencing withdrawal symptoms after being exposed to kratom in utero. Kinda sounds like opiates, doesn't it? Now, some people may say this is bullshit and propaganda, but at the end of the day, I'm not trying to tell people what to do with their lives. The bottom line is that long-term studies and research on the safety profile of kratom is lacking. And to complicate things even more, it's an unregulated substance. Chances are your kratom came from some warehouse in Southeast Asia, and you don't know how potent it is or if there's any other substances in it. Back in 2018, the CDC linked a multi-state outbreak to salmonella infections, and that led to multiple people getting hospitalized. Like I've mentioned in other videos, if you're coming off a heroin or a heavy pill habit, then perhaps kratom is the safer option for you. I just know through my own personal experience that I had a lot of negative side effects that came with it, and I wouldn't recommend staying on it long term, especially if you take higher doses and you take it daily. During my kratom use, I found myself unmotivated, moody, I had no drive for life, and basically I just felt like I had this constant negative fog around me. I had very little patience, would push people away, and just basically wasn't ready for the stress of everyday life when I was on kratom. I just couldn't function like a normal human being. Physically, I felt unwell. Like, my stomach was always gurgling, I had strong headaches, and even my pee had like this really weird, funky kratom kind of smell to it. For the first year or so, I thought that it was a miracle plant, and perhaps for some it is, but I'm more referring to abusing it in my videos. I realized just how much I was under kratom's spell when I ran out one day and started having a panic attack. That was the first moment that I knew that I should get off of this shit. The other bad thing with coming off of kratom was the post-acute withdrawal symptoms that I experienced. I'm not normally a depressed or anxious person, but I was kind of mentally fucked up for a couple months after tapering off of this stuff. I was fatigued, depressed, anxious, and very irritable for the first month. And then for the second month, I'd think that it'd be okay for a while, and then just like blam, just the anxiety and overthinking would just hit me like a ton of bricks. The harsh truth with quitting kratom is that there's no truly easy way to get off of this stuff, but tapering seemed to be the best method for me personally. If you haven't seen my first video, my experience with quitting kratom, I go into more detail about tapering there, and I recommend watching that if you've never seen it. As far as dealing with the negative mind states of withdrawal and pause, I recommend staying busy. It really helps to plan out your free time. Now, we all work and have day-to-day responsibilities, but it's that free time that it helps to have planned out so you kind of know what you're doing. I found that I was most irritable when I was stuck in my thoughts and just idly scrolling through my phone. I gotta recommend exercise. I know that people don't like to hear that, but it really does help you feel physically and mentally better overall. You want to do things that'll require some degree of concentration that'll get you out of your head when you're going through this shit. Reading or picking up a new audiobook is a great idea. When I was going through the worst of it, going out on long walks out in nature and listening to an audiobook was incredibly helpful. If you're looking for an audiobook recommendation, I would recommend Swan Song by the author Robert McCammon. It's kind of an epic post-apocalyptic novel. If you like Stephen King, it'll probably be up your alley. It's very addictive and very well written, and when I was going through the worst of things, I was just very immersed in it, and it just kind of got me out of my head. Journaling or vlogging is a great idea. Like, I'm legit just using my cell phone for this, so I mean, if I can do it, you can do it too. Maybe just getting your thoughts out there in the universe could help you out, and maybe you sharing your experience could help someone else out who's going through it. Watch your diet. Avoid fast food and processed foods. Eat lots of protein and eat lots of fruits and vegetables, and also I recommend taking vitamins so you're really fueling your body well with good stuff. I'd also suggest cutting back on caffeine and avoiding posting on social media. The reason I say this is because when you're going through PAWS or withdrawals, you're basically not in the best headspace, and it's easier to go off on people or just come off as negative, and it's best to just work on yourself at this time. It's cool to talk to your close personal friends, but I'd avoid posting on your wall or commenting on other people's shit. You know, I would just stay working on you until you feel a little bit better. Where you should be hanging out on social media is some of the Quitting Kratom groups that are on Facebook. It really helps to share and post there when you're going through the worst of it. Going through PAWS isn't easy, but it can teach you many valuable lessons. Through PAWS, you're overcoming adversity. It's hard as shit to go through. And eventually, you'll get more joy, compassion, and you get to enjoy life again. Because when you're hooked on this shit, you're not the same person that you were. So when you fight through it and finally get on the other side, you're free. If you're going through withdrawals or PAWS, it means that kratom got a hold of you and took control of your life. You can't give into temptation and continue to use. The only way to feel whole again is to completely get off of this shit. So what you need to do is be a fucking boss and kick kratom out of your life. You know, you can't give in and be weak and continue to let it rule your life and self-medicate, because it's not even a good form of self-medication. The high itself isn't even all that, and if you're taking it and you're experiencing all these side effects, you're just taking it to feel normal. Don't be kratom's bitch and let it control you. Have some self-respect and love for yourself by completely eliminating it, because I promise you, if you keep taking it, you'll remain stagnant, miserable, and you won't grow. I know this sounds harsh, but it's the truth. The good thing is that this pain is temporary and that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Once you've fought through cold turkey or completed your taper and enough time passes, you start to feel like your old self is starting to come back a bit. Music starts to sound better, you have more gratitude, energy, self-respect, and a lot more money in your pocket. That's always nice. Your health will improve, your relationships get better, and you can face the challenges that life throws at you, and you have more confidence, dignity, and self-respect. Life is hard. I don't care who you are or where you come from, but when you're addicted to kratom, it only makes it harder on yourself. Now, if you're taking extremely high doses or you're relapsing a lot, consider checking into a detox and attending meetings afterwards. Sometimes you can't do it alone, and there's no shame in seeking out additional help. I appreciate you watching this video, and if you're new to my channel, be sure to check out my other videos where I go into a lot more detail about kratom and also alcohol addiction to some extent. And if you haven't already joined, I'm going to be sure to post a link to the Facebook group for Quitting Kratom. So that's a great spot to check out. So if you've never been there, I highly recommend checking it out. It's really helped me out, and I still post there sometimes. It helps to see people going through the worst of it, and it just reminds me how much that I don't need that shit in my life anymore. If you're hooked on kratom right now, I promise you, life gets a lot easier when you get off of this shit. You just have to fight this temporary battle of getting off of it first. And for me personally, a slow taper was the best thing for me. Feel free to comment and let me know how you're doing, and we can chat. I wish you all the best in your quitting journey. Let's make 2023 a good year by kicking kratom out of all of your lives. Fuck that shit. You don't need it. For the longest time, it seems like it's helpful in the beginning, but I don't know, man. It just takes a part of your soul when you get addicted to it and you just start taking it every day and relying on it. It's just not worth it. The high's not that good, and there's just way too many drawbacks. Now, I'm not slamming it for everybody. For some people, it may work for them, or they may need it for a medical reason, and that's fine. If you're just abusing it recreationally, it's probably not the best substance to take. I appreciate you all watching and letting me ramble. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe, throw me a like, and I will be sure to make more videos in the future and also address other topics in recovery. I know I've been making a lot of kratom videos recently, but I just feel like I have more to say on the subject. So I'll be sure to make another video soon. Thank you.